Hello, post-editing or editing right now the video, Storm here. Did you know that the vcac had to be shadow nerfed also? I'm going to put this at the start of the video because, just to draw your attention a bit more. Did you know that this vehicle is so overpowered it had to be shadow nerfed? I asked some Christmas Tech staff. They said it was nerfed because it was too overpowered. And honestly, I don't even think it was nerfed that much, to be honest. Because the only part of the nerf that I noticed is that now, if you hit the tail of the MI-28, it doesn't one-tap it like it used to. That is the only part of the nerf that I noticed for the VCAC. So it was shadow nerf because it's super powered. And honestly, it's quite frankly still very overpowered in my opinion. Hello! And in today's video, I'm going to be going over Wording's most underrated and underused, but extremely powerful vehicle in the entire game. The vcac Mephisto. And so, what is the vcac Mephisto? The vcac Mephisto is a pretty simple vehicle, honestly. It's just a French anti-tank combat vehicle. Not that much backstory to this thing in the game, but it's super overpowered with those 4 wire-guided missiles you see up there on the roof. Yes, these. You climb up there? These things. They're super powerful, actually. And so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you why these are super overpowered, and also why you should use the vcac. Because it is the most underrated and underused vehicle for how powerful it actually is in War Tycoon. And so, something to note before we get into the video, there's one downside for the vcac. The vcac has very low HP. However, it can survive the main 10 of any tank. That doesn't mean it can survive like 5 seconds after if it's just standing fire from the turret. Or, at least against this first tank, survive a second cannon shot. And the first tank we're up against is the mouse. And because this is an anti-tank vehicle, I thought I would just show you how good this is against tanks first. And the mouse is actually probably one of the best things to counter the vcac with. So I'm going to shoot this thing in its turret. As he dies. And the mouse, it survives. Maybe not on much HP. The mouse does survive against the vcac. On 34% in the turret, even though I'm pretty sure it counted as the side. I know in the front when I tested it right there, it survived with like over half of its health left. It matters where you hit with these missiles. And so, the mouse is one of 3 tanks, but basically 2 because one of the tanks is on like 7% of health afterwards. It can be RPG'd or anything and just dies really quickly. The mouse is one of about 3 tanks which can survive all 4 of its missiles. Head on, basically. Actually, yes, head on, because I'm pretty sure the damage percentage is the same on most tanks all around. I don't know, really, but I'm taking up too much time right now. We're going to move on to the second tank that I'm going to be testing, the T90, and after that, we're going to go on the PLO1, T14, and then the Abrams X. And so, the T90 is right here. And the T90 is actually an interesting tank, because it has missile disruption systems. So, if you're at a distance, the vcac will actually, fail against the T90 if it's looking where the missiles are. But regardless, that doesn't really stop the vcac, because it kind of just destroys the T90. The T90 is dead. The vcac, it cooks the T90, put simple. The T90 is no match for all 4 vcac missiles. It might be a match for 3 of them, even though it will be on low HP, though. And so, next up is the PLO1. And here I am with the PLO1. And for context, I'm not doing the T14 before the PLO1 because the T14 does have more health than the PLO1 from what I've heard. And so the PLO1 is also no match, put simple. Yeah, I mean, you can hear the sounds right now if the volume's high enough, but yeah, there's the flames, and now it's gone. Completely eviscerated by the vcac Mephisto. Because most tanks are eviscerated. Most of everything is eviscerated by the vcac Mephisto. The vcac Mephisto is life. The vcac Mephisto is love. Next up is the T14. And so, here a T14 is. And the T14, frontally speaking, and from my knowledge, at the rear of the tank also, it survives. I guess it doesn't survive 100% of the time. I promise you though, it survived when I was testing it earlier. The missiles do present a bit of RNG, so I guess it's actually a bit dependent. Regardless, when we were testing, it had dropped to a very small 7% health, and you could RPG it, or javelin, or explosive sniper, or foul to death, or literally anything. it to death. So I guess it does destroy that. Yippee. It takes the frontally. Sometimes. Turns out there's RNG involved also. So it's sometimes, actually. And next up, the last tank I'm going to be testing it against, the Abrams X. And so, here I am with an Abrams X, with my RPG still in hand. Which I'm just going to keep it in hand for now. And so, frontally speaking, the Abrams X, it does well. It does do pretty well against the VCAC. Only it and the mouse actually survive against the VCAC, frontally speaking. That is not 25% HP. Last time I tested it, it had like 25% HP remaining. That is 7%. Oh, whoopsies. But I believe an RPG would finish it off. Oh my gosh, an RPG finished it off. Who the hell would have thought? And so, generally speaking, only a few tanks, or basically just the mouse and the Abrams X, are going to be able to consistently not die to the VCACs for missiles. And then besides that, really, there's a bit of RNG with a T14, I would say. There could be the same case for the PLO1 and T90, but I don't believe it is. So, for VCACs, only the T90 and... Wait, no, that's wrong. Only the Abrams X and the mouse you're going to actually want to watch out for, generally, in my opinion. Because you eviscerate, like, every other tank. But tanks aren't everything. With this new high skybox, planes and helicopters are also threats to you, my good sir. And so, I'm also going to be showing it off against the B-29 and the Mi-28. And so, here is the Mi-28. A new pay-to-win helicopter in Tycoon. And it gets one tapped, but it also gets two tapped at the same time. It all depends where you hit this thing. Because if you hit it in the tail, it still has some health remaining. For context, this health isn't enough to even survive a stinger, so it doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, in RPG. And so, if you hit it right here, it gets one tap. And so, I'm going to save these two vcac missiles. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I don't really care now. But there are two of the vehicles which you're going to actually want to look out for, besides the Mi-28. And these are also airborne vehicles. Because I'm doing air right now. So, yeah, airborne vehicles. And here's my B-29. It's at like 80% health. Like, it's somewhere around 80% health. Regardless, I'm still going to showcase it against the VCAC because I do not want to have to fly this thing and probably crash another time because it's very annoying. But, yeah, it survives a hit from the VCAC, but it doesn't survive the second hit. And it dies. It might be able to survive a third hit. Actually, no, it died on the third hit, actually. I'm actually not unsure, but this leaves one more vehicle that has the VCAC out against that you're going to commonly see. Maybe, maybe not. And this thing, it's the F-35. I'm just showing it off against the F-35 now. Which, for context, this is not my VCAC. It's a friend's, and he helped me record this. So, cheers to you, mate. Here is a F-35. Wow, an F-35. Almost as if I just spawned it. And so, F-35, guess what? It survives a missile. It might not survive a missile if you shoot it directly in the nose. From my experience, sometimes it doesn't with tanks. I don't think it does with tow missiles either sometimes. But it does not survive a second VCAC missile. And so the VCAC, I mean, yeah, it's underrated, underused, and super powerful. Overpowered, one might say, for a French anti-tank combat vehicle. And so, that's all for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day. See ya.